What is going on, guys? JD from New York here. This is your number one source for all WWE news and rumors right here on YouTube.com. Off the Script, number 29. Thank you guys so much for joining me this Sunday morning to close out your weekend, September 7th, 2014. If you guys did indeed miss part 1 and 2 of Off the Script, link is down below. I got some great talking points. I got some great stories. I got news on CM Punk suing the WWE over royalties that he has earned, or that he's going to be earning, from the WWE 2K15 video game coming out next month. I also got news in part 1 on Brock Lesnar. His contract has now been altered slightly to the point where WWE can use him whenever they want. I also have fantasy booking in part 1 about how I would book Brock Lesnar as WWE champion, who I would have him go up against, and all leading to WrestleMania in a WWE championship match. Go check that out. I think I have some viable options for the WWE to possibly use. I like what I'm talking about in part 1. If you missed it, like I said, links are down below, okay? Number 2, there's a few mistakes I made this weekend, okay? A few big errors I made this weekend. Number 1, I didn't know Chairshot Reality was not filming this weekend. I went to their homepage because I usually like watching them in an abundance. You know, when you watch one, you want to immediately go on to the next. That's what I do, okay? So when I went to WrestleZone.com today, okay, it's Saturday morning, I wanted to watch yesterday's video, and I realized that they weren't filming this weekend. They didn't post any new content. So I want you guys to go over there anyway. If you missed any episodes, go over there, show those guys some support. I haven't been keeping up to date on Twitter because of work. Work has been getting in the way. I've been away from social media for the most part of the day because my schedule does not allow it. My job does not allow it. So I'm only allowed to be on my phone on my lunch break and then obviously when I leave work. But when I'm at work, a lot of my time and attention has to go into what I'm doing there. I can't really interact like I used to at my old job on Twitter. So I don't really know what the guys have been up to. Like I said, I went to Chairshot's homepage at WrestleZone.com, and they, I seen that they didn't have any new videos. But regardless of that, I want you guys to go over there and support them anyway because I love them. I love what they do, and they are really the number one source for professional wrestling as far as any kind of talk show goes on the internet. So go and check those guys out. Labar, Eisenberg, Ghoulish, Chairshot Reality at WrestleZone.com. Link is down below if you missed any previous episodes. Number 3, Joe Cronin. Link to Twitter and YouTube is down below. Another big error I made. Some of you actually came to me and said that the podcast name that I came up with, We Watch Wrestling, is taken. I feel like a fool because I've been promoting the new podcast with JD and Joe Cronin as We Watch Wrestling for a couple of days now. Now we have to go back to the drawing board. We do have an idea for a name. I'm waiting on Joe's approval for it because the name that we came up with kind of was being used by one of his guys back in the day. So I'm trying to see if Joe can ask his friend if we can use this because it really, again, fits the whole mold of what we want to do on here. So hopefully he gets back to me soon with the okay on that, and then I will let you guys know. But I feel like a fool coming on here. I did not even know that was taken. It seemed too good to be true to begin with because I really like the name, and that's just the way things work out for me. If I really like something, usually falls to pieces anyway, so that's what it is. I'm sorry for the misinformation, but we are working on a new name regarding the podcast. So like I said, I'm waiting on Joe's approval, okay? Now that I got all that out of the way, I got news. I'm going to read the small tidbits of news that really aren't that important, but they're newsworthy regardless. Before I get into the big topic today, Vince Russo writes an open letter to Vince, Stephanie, and Triple H in regards to Monday Night Raw and the shitty fucking shows that we've been getting week in and week out. You're not going to want to miss this one. Vince Russo goes at him. He really is frustrated with the product just like we all are. I'll save that for the end. But I'm going to read some little tidbits here. I'm going to start off with WWE apparently not allowing talent on Jim Ross's podcast, The Ross Report. A fan recently asked Ross if Ric Flair would appear on The Ross Report anytime soon, and JR replied with the following, and I quote, "No, Flair's a WWE guy. WWE hasn't approved any podcast guests for me." I wonder why. Is it because JR knows how to book WWE better than the fucking people in charge? I think that's the number one reason. I know for a fact WWE higher-ups, WWE officials listen to Jim Ross every Tuesday as soon as that shit hits iTunes and the Google Play Store. I know for a fact they listen to that shit. Because the things that happen, you see kind of trickling onto WWE TV, and all comes from Jim Ross. Jim Ross knew what he was talking about with SummerSlam. He knows what he's talking about with current storylines. And I know for a fact, like I said, the WWE is listening to Jim Ross. Why wouldn't they? He's got a great mind for the business. He's got a great intuition about the WWE itself. Letting him go was a huge fucking mistake, and shame on Vince McMahon, shame on Triple H for letting this actually happen. Jim Ross should be in the WWE and in a very important role. But he doesn't want it. He's happy with what he's doing. I'm glad he's being successful as a podcast guy. I love it. I listen to him every week religiously. All right? I haven't missed one fucking show yet, and I'm not going to. But Jim Ross not being allowed to have WWE talent on there is a fucking shame, because Jim Ross knows what he's talking about. He's got a great mind for the business, and it's disrespecting for the fans. It's disrespecting the fans, because we want to listen to Jim Ross talk about wrestling with current superstars. Okay? WWE will not allow that. But again, if you listen to Chris Jericho's podcast, he has Batista on. He has Triple H on. Current WWE guys. Why isn't Jim Ross allowed the same when it comes to podcasts? I don't know. But all I know is the Ross Report, #1 podcast for wrestling. If you guys are not listening to that, you really should. Podcast1.com, the Ross Report. Very easy to find, and it's an absolutely fantastic listen every week. Shame on WWE for not allowing Jim Ross to have WWE guys on his show. That's fucking ridiculous. #2, former TNA star and current New Japan star AJ Styles spoke with Slam Wrestling and talked about the issues with WWE stock and budget cuts. He was asked about a future with WWE. It sure doesn't seem like the right time to be going to WWE. Absolutely correct, Mr. Styles. I think the best place for me right now is in New Japan. I'm happy with everything that's going on right there with me in New Japan. Okay? Styles talked about retiring in Japan. At this point, I would be more happy at some point in my career to just retire from New Japan. The respect that they have shown me, and I'm not talking about being the heavyweight champion, I'm talking about just the overall treatment of me with respect and treating me like a star and trusting me to have great matches with guys I've never been in the ring with. That means a lot to me. I hope that they see that this guy is going to help us out in the long run. He's a team player. And I'd be more to, when my time comes to retire from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Good for AJ Styles. He's happy with what he's doing. And it's tough to take that away from him. It's tough to make a decision to the point where you're happy, you're making decent money, you're incredibly successful at what you're doing over there. It's tough to just leave that. And that means that AJ Styles was born and raised a great man. Respected, respectful of others, loyal, passionate, dedicated to what he does. And he's not going to leave the people that are treating him very, very well. There's no problems. There's no reason for him to come to WWE right now, because the WWE is such a mess. They don't even know what to do with their own talent. You're going to book AJ Styles correctly? I don't think so. Good for AJ Styles. I'm glad that he's happy. I'm glad that he's successful. I'm glad that he got out of TNA, because it's a fucking sinking ship. Very fast. Very fast. I don't see TNA around too much longer, okay? I don't think they're going to get a deal anywhere for their program. But AJ Styles is happy. He's the champion over there. He knows what he's doing. He's making money. He's loyal. He's dedicated. He's passionate about what he's doing. Good for him. He loves what he's doing. You can't take that away from the guy, and he doesn't want to give that up. Good for him. News on Jake the Snake. Some good news regarding the current situation of Jake the Snake Roberts, who has been in the hospital with double pneumonia for the past few days. Here's the latest update from I don't know who this is. Sin Bodhi? I think he's a friend of Jake's. So I'm not too familiar with that name. But today Jake underwent some kind of treatment, okay? An invasive surgery to remove phlegm, etc. trapped in his lungs. He's breathing much better, but is still on a ventilator. In the moments of Jake being awake from sedation, he was telling jokes and messing with the nurses. This is a good sign. That's Jake being Jake. Later this week, docs will give Jake oxygen tests to see how well he can breathe without a ventilator and proceed from there. Get better, Jake. Hopefully, Jake continues on the road to recovery, giving pneumonia a DDT as many times as necessary. Obviously, I will continue to update this situation if I hear anything else, but that is the latest information on Jake the Snake Roberts. Everything seems to be going good. The last I actually read, this is not really the most up-to-date on Jake the Snake. I think Jake the Snake is really, really doing great. He's going to beat this thing, and I'm very glad that he's going to be A-okay after this scary moment where he collapsed and fainted and passed out. And double pneumonia is not something that you should mess around with. And I'm just glad that he's okay, because I don't want to see another legend pass away so unexpectedly, so young, after, especially after what he's been through with DDP and getting his life back on the right track and being drug-free, alcohol-free, doing DDP yoga on the right diet, getting healthy. I'm just glad that he's going to be okay from this scary situation. So good shit, Jake. I hope you do give pneumonia DDT, all right? CM Punk and AJ Lee. Apparently, Hollywood wasn't the only ones that were leaked online nude photos. If you guys have been paying attention to the news, I think iCloud was hacked into, and a lot of celebrities' photos were leaked, naked pictures, nudes, whatever the fuck you want to call them. Photo of CM Punk and AJ Lee last week was leaked online, and Punk wasn't happy about it at all. He actually tweeted the following last week, but later deleted it because it's very fucking vile and vicious, alright? Some fan tweeted in the photo, and he said, and I quote, "Tweet that picture again and I block you. Simple. And I block you because I can't punch you in your disrespectful fucking face, pigs." That's what CM Punk said. Obviously, he was very heated about that. He didn't want his personal life being leaked onto the internet. But, he's a celebrity, man. He's a celebrity. AJ Lee's a celebrity. These are people that, everyone wants to see. So, obviously, they're going to pry into your personal business. I know it's not right, but listen, you're a celebrity, man. It comes with the fucking territory. No reason to act like that to your fans. You're going to give off the wrong impression, and, people are just not going to be a fan of you anymore. I wouldn't do that. If I was in his shoes, yeah, it is what it is, man. Listen, the photo was nothing. I'm sure most of you guys seen the photo. It was Punk in a tuxedo and AJ Lee in her wedding gown smiling. That's all it was. There was nothing bad about it. There was no racy pictures of the two leaked on the internet. It was simple wedding photo, sharing their happiness, seeing that they were happy. Punk smiling, AJ Lee smiling. That's all it is, man. Yeah, I think he overreacted just a little bit, but I understand his frustration. He's probably going through a lot with the WWE and the lawsuits and this and that, but it comes with the territory, man. No need to flip out like that and threaten somebody via Twitter. It doesn't look good for your for your image, okay? That's just me being me. Ryback. Everybody's talking about Ryback. It's widely reported Ryback has been off WWE TV and events because of an injury. SESscoops.com has learned exclusive details about why he's away. Ryback is being treated for a hernia, perhaps even a double hernia, suffered during a weight training session at the gym. The big guy, as they call him, is going under surgery and is expected out 4 to 6 weeks. So, if you guys want to know what's going on with Ryback, that is the latest on the big guy. Zack Ryder, the gear Zack Ryder wore recently on Monday Night Raw in his last match with Rusev was designed by a fan through Twitter. Ryder tweeted the following about his loss to Rusev, on the previous edition of Monday Night Raw. "Okay, I get it. At Rusev, BUL. Crushed me again." It was speculated on the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer radio show that Ryder's loss to Rusev on Monday Night Raw may have been due to some recent negative tweets that he's posted. It was speculated that Ryder may have been given the JTG moment on Raw last night, referring to when JTG spoke out against the company in August of 2012 and was brought to Monday Night Raw the next week for a squash loss to Ryback. Ryder. Who cares about Zack Ryder? He wants to be on Monday Night Raw in a very important role so badly. The guy, he hit the top of the mountain with, Long Island Z and True Long Island Z, that whole fucking internet story that he did, the whole internet series that he did. It was great. I watched every episode, man. It was fucking fun. It was fantastic. It was different. It was just a fun thing to watch when you were, surfing YouTube and you wanted to just relax for a 7-8 minute, period. It was nice. But Zack Ryder, they got nothing for him. WWE sees nothing in him. I don't think he'll ever get the treatment that he thinks he deserves. It is what it is, man. He plays the role of a jobber, and that's what it's going to be. So, all the complaining in the world isn't going to do you anything. I don't see them doing anything with Zack Ryder, so he can complain all he wants. The more he complains, the more he's going to get buried. Plain and simple. All right? It looks as though WWE has ended their relationship with the social media website Tout. WWE has not used their main Tout page since July 12th, and NXT hasn't used theirs since May 25th. Additionally, several WWE superstars have gone months without using their Tout accounts. WWE invested $5,000 with Tout back in July of 2012 and entered into a 2-year partnership with the company. It looks like the deal has expired and WWE has decided not to renew it. It was reported back in 2012 that WWE CBO Stephanie McMahon would be on Tout's board of directors. No reason to be on Tout anymore. I never had a Tout. I never knew what Tout was about, but I checked it out. Obviously, it's small clippets of videos. Who needs Tout? Who needs a website like Tout when Instagram is doing the same thing, when Vine is hooked up with Twitter? Tout was just something WWE wanted to get behind because at that time it was fresh. People weren't doing the whole video thing on Instagram or, Vine. Now that's big. Instagram is huge. Vine is huge. Who needs Tout anymore when these other more popular websites are doing the same thing? You'd much rather be on Instagram than Tout. That's just me. So Tout is done. Tout is dead. WWE backed out of their partnership, did not renew the deal. So if you guys are wondering at all why WWE hasn't mentioned Tout on their shows anymore like they were doing in the summer of 2012, that's because their contract is not renewed. They backed out, and that's over with. So that's that story. Stephanie McMahon, again, news on Stephanie. Her announcement on SmackDown this week is that there will be a Divas title match at Night of Champions. It will be Paige versus AJ Lee versus Nikki Bella in a triple threat match for the WWE Divas Championship. So that is the match that is being booked for the Divas title at Night of Champions, okay? Now, I got one other story. Actually, I got two other stories, all right? One is about Triple H. He talks about Vince McMahon. Everybody wants to know when Triple H is going to take over creatively for WWE. Everybody thinks Triple H will do a better job than Vince McMahon or anybody else there because he's younger. He's in tune with the business. He knows what the fans want. He wants to listen to the fans. All right, he's got a lot of young talent down at NXT. That's his pet project. He wants things to go his way. You've been hearing reports about Triple H and Vince McMahon butting heads, over WWE creatively. But Talk is Jericho, Chris Jericho's podcast. They had Triple H on as a guest. I didn't listen to it yet because I still got to get through Batista. But Triple H himself was on the podcast, and one of the most intriguing moments of the show came when they discussed Vince McMahon. Jericho asked Triple H if Vince would ever step down from the company, to which Hunter confidently said no. Triple H then went on to explain that Vince works more hours than ever before nowadays and rarely gets any sleep. According to the King of Kings, Vince perceives exhaustion as an enemy and deals with it by training at the gym. Triple H also states that he's not being groomed at all to take over the company, and that if he does take over the company, it will be because Vince McMahon has passed away. So all you guys wondering, when will Vince McMahon step down? The answer is never. I could have told you that. You didn't need to hear it from Triple H. We all want to see Triple H get a more prominent role creatively because we think, that he's younger, he's more in tune with the product, he knows what the fans want, he's got a good mind for the business. But Vince McMahon is old, he might be losing touch with the fans, he only wants to do what Vince McMahon wants, he's set in his ways, he doesn't give a shit about what anybody else thinks. This is what we perceive on the internet, but Triple H stated that Vince McMahon will not go away unless he is in the grave. Pretty much what we all been coming to a conclusion on. We know Vince is not going away. This is his thing. This is his baby. It's a family fucking business. Vince ain't giving it up for anyone. For anyone. He will be there until he cannot physically do it anymore, until he has passed away, like Triple H stated. Very good interview there. A very good clip of news there. I would have to listen to that podcast. That's going to be very interesting to listen to. I got to get through Batista's first, and then I got to listen to Jim Ross. He had Tony Schiavone on. I want to listen to that because I want to hear about what Schiavone says about the old WCW days. But then I will eventually get to Triple H. Being on my new work schedule, I can't listen to the podcast like I usually do. I was taking the train down into Manhattan, so I had all the time in the world to listen to the podcast. Now I drive to work 5-10 minutes, and I got to pretty much save the podcast for when I actually have free time at home, which is never, because I'm always doing something on YouTube, or I'm going to go see my grandmother, going to go see my mom. So my time to listen to podcasts has kind of been non-existent. So I definitely want to listen to that Triple H podcast when I do get the chance. Now, Vince Russo. Vince Russo. I love Vince Russo, man. I miss Vince Russo. He had a great interview with Stone Cold Steve Austin on his podcast. It's safe to say that Vince Russo was not pleased with the effort that went into Monday Night Raw last week. I did a video on it. I ranted on it. Everyone ranted on it. What the fuck is WWE thinking? And to be fair, I don't know anyone that would disagree with that Monday Night Raw was terrible. This week's show was simply bland and boring. In response, Russo took to his website, Pyro and Ballyhoo, and wrote an open letter to essentially every name high up in the creative totem pole in WWE. Triple H, Stephanie, and even Vince McMahon were all called out under the assumption that they were not putting their best foot forward with producing weekly content. Mr. Russo, welcome to our world, my friend. We complain about Monday Night Raw every fucking week, it seems like. I'm glad you actually took the time out of your day to fucking write to these guys. Hopefully they listen. This is what Mr. Vince Russo had to say, okay? I doubt they even listen to Vince Russo because they're a bunch of fucking clowns over there in WWE Creative. They want to do what they think is right. They don't want to listen to anybody else. Meanwhile, they are putting out shitty fucking content every fucking week. Illogical content. Shit that doesn't make sense. Boring. 3-hour Monday Night Raws that you can barely sit through. It's not right, man. It's a big middle finger to the fucking fans. But this is what Vince Russo had to say, and I'm going to quote this. You guys are going to enjoy this one. Dear Vince, Stephanie, and Hunter, first let me apologize for my rant on this week's Monday Night Raw. I'm Italian. I'm emotional. I'm sorry I get that way sometimes. Come to think of it, you probably witnessed it firsthand in a galaxy far, far away, many light years ago. The truth is, I hate to criticize Raw, and I do too. I personally hate to criticize it. I want it to be good every week. I really do. Having been there and done that, I realize how difficult it is to come up with 2 hours of compelling content every week, let alone 3. The job is not easy. I understand that, and nobody can be criticized for trying and giving their best effort. Nobody. But the question I have to ask all of you is what we see every Monday night honestly and truly your best effort? I just know that having worked with all 3 of you in the past, I don't think any of us would have been satisfied or even allowed this week's show to air in its final form. Are we seriously not better than that? What happened to our mantra during the Attitude Era when this week's show was going to be better than last week's? Remember that, Vince? I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to let you guys know what I felt when I was a musician with my brother in my band Risen. All right, we were together for 10 years. And the mantra that I had, that I created for all 4 of us when we were writing music, if the song that we wrote was not better than the last, I would not stamp my name on it. That's the way WWE should go about booking Monday Night Raw. Plain and simple. That's what I believe in. That's what Vince Russo believes in, and it's the right way to think, man. If your last song is not better than, if your new song is not better than your last, why even bother? Why even put that on TV? If your show is not better than last week's show, why even bother putting your name on the fucking script? I don't understand it, and I completely agree with what he said so far. I don't know what it is. I don't know the structure because I'm not there, but nobody, and I mean nobody, can tell me that with a bit more effort you couldn't be doing better than what the people are being, than what we the people are being exposed to every Monday night. Look, we all love wrestling. We are all huge fans of the WWE, and in all truthfulness, we want to like the show. But you just make it so difficult. Asking anybody to sit through 3 hours of what you're currently putting on the air is not only asking too much, but it's also unfair. Look, I'm not going to tell you what to do or how to do it. Who am I? All I'm asking is that you all ask each other, is this the best that the WWE has to offer its fans? If the answer is yes, then I guess I've just overrated you. However, I think we all know that's not the answer. I don't think any of you can walk away from that building on Monday night honestly believing that you had just put your best foot forward. I don't believe that for a second. Right now, you have an unbelievable talent roster up and down from first match to main event, but the writing and producing of the show is just not serving them justice. You have to know that. What happened to the work ethic and commitment that we all shared during the Attitude Era? What happened to that passion when we literally used to leave our own blood, sweat, and tears on the script that we wrote? If something didn't exceed our expectations, we were sick over it for days. I know I was. Vince, Stephanie, Triple H, yes, we will always be here no matter what. We support you and we support the WWE. But the truth is, we deserve better. And deep down inside, I know that you know that. With 1,000% sincerity. Peace. Your former head writer, Vince Russo. From a frustrated fan to another. You can't get any better than that. Vince Russo's frustrated. I'm frustrated. You all are all frustrated. It is what it is, man. It needed to be said from somebody who has actually worked with all three of these individuals, who's worked in the WWE, who worked for the biggest time in WWE history. It had to be said. I'm glad he said it. I respect Vince Russo. I wasn't a big fan of Vince Russo since he left WWE. I didn't know what he did with TNA. I don't know the work he did elsewhere. But I know for a fact when he was with WWE and did what he did in the Attitude Era, nobody was better, man. Nobody was better. That's the kind of guy you need, man. I would hire Vince Russo back and fire every other fucking clown you got there. Maybe he could actually work with these guys and get them to the point of giving us compelling television. I would love to see it, man. Everybody says the WWE creative team is too many hands-on. There's too many guys in the kitchen. And with that, you're not going to get anything good, man. The food's not going to be good if that many hands are in the fucking kitchen preparing your meal. It's not. You need maybe a handful of guys, 4 or 5 guys, to come up with certain shit on the show, book the show accordingly, get these talents over the right way, book these matches properly, get these storylines flowing week after week. 3-hour Monday Night Raw is painful, man. I never understood the move from 2 to 3 hours. 2 hours was perfect. I don't need 3 hours of Monday Night Raw, man. It is absolutely fucking painful to sit through with the shit that they're giving us. All I know is I'm glad Vince Russo said this about Vince McMahon, Triple H, and Stephanie, because it needed to be said. Nobody else is going to say it, especially someone who worked there, okay, who has worked there. I'm glad it was said, and I hope, I'm not holding my breath, but I hope something triggered in Vince's mind would get him to do something a little bit different, something better, and put his best foot forward. If your show that you're putting on this week is not better than your last, why even put your name to it? I don't understand it. You always want to be better than the last week. If you're not following that mantra, you're failing. Plain and simple. All right? That's off the script, guys. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Let me know what you think down below of what Vince Russo said about Monday Night Raw and the current WWE product. Let me know what you guys think about Vince McMahon not retiring, Triple H taking over, not happening. The only way Triple H is going to take over is if Vince McMahon has passed away. That's what he said on Talk is Jericho, Y2J's podcast. But, like I said, guys, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like on your way out the door. It greatly helps out my channel. If you missed any of my previous off-the-script videos, link is right down below. Go and check that out. Part 1 and Part 2 is down there. Joe Cronin, social media is down there. Chairshot Reality is down there. LaBar is down there. Go and check those guys out. They all deserve your undivided attention here on the internet, guys. Thank you guys so much. I will be back hopefully with a Monday Night Raw review on Tuesday. And until then, hopefully we get a good Monday Night Raw. Hopefully we have something exciting to talk about. We'll see, man. I'm not holding my breath, but I can only hope it's better than last week. I'll see you guys for Monday Night Raw review. Until then, take care. This is JD, and I'll talk to you all very soon.